When tech giants like Google spend hundreds of millions to acquire startups like DeepMind, they are betting heavily on the future of artificial intelligence. But AI does not exist in a vacuum or an abstract cloud. To train these algorithms to recognize patterns, write code, or generate images, companies require vast warehouses of physical hardware humming around the clock. The foundation of that physical infrastructure rests on advanced microprocessors, specifically the semiconductor architectures designed by NVIDIA. Because AI breakthroughs are entirely dependent on these physical components, global influence belongs to whoever governs the production and distribution of these specific processors. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang is currently navigating a specific financial dilemma, a $50 billion market for artificial intelligence chips waiting for him in China. However, the United States government has stepped in to prevent NVIDIA from selling its most advanced hardware to this specific market. The primary tool for this intervention is the export control, a legal restriction that allows the U.S. to dictate exactly which foreign nations are permitted to purchase American-engineered technology. This marks a shift in how global power is projected. Instead of broad trade embargoes on commodities like oil or steel, the United States is now utilizing targeted restrictions on microscopic components to exert pressure on foreign technological ambitions. To understand this response, we have to look back to 2014, when the Chinese government officially launched a semiconductor initiative known as the Big Fund. Through this system, Beijing injected capital into hundreds of domestic semiconductor companies simultaneously, creating a distributed manufacturing base. Historically, Chinese foundries supplied low-end chips for appliances. The Big Fund changed that, subsidizing a move into the production of high-end processors required for AI. The sheer number of companies receiving state support meant that the U.S. could not simply match China's domestic investment. Instead, U.S. strategy shifted towards disruption, targeting the external tools China required to sustain that growth. The global semiconductor network relies on a few highly specialized choke points. Controlling or blocking a single point in this linear supply chain effectively stops the entire system. The first choke point was manufacturing equipment. The U.S. pressured allies to block the export of ASML's ultraviolet lithography machines, devices so complex they are only produced by a single company in the Netherlands. Next, the U.S. targeted integration, placing heavy sanctions on the Chinese telecommunications giant Huawei to sever their access to global chip architectures. The U.S. government justified this blockade by citing fears that Huawei's hardware could be used for espionage and state-level security breaches. Finally, they targeted design. Spanning across both the Trump and Biden administrations, the U.S. tightened restrictions to stop NVIDIA from exporting its top-tier artificial intelligence chip designs to Chinese buyers. By synchronizing these three blocks, equipment, integration, and design, the U.S. severed China's access to the tools necessary for packing transistors closer together. Without those physical upgrades, their domestic AI development is effectively stalled. NVIDIA, however, has not abandoned the market. Instead, the company is working directly with the U.S. administration to find a specific compromise. Their workaround involves designing a new processor for Chinese buyers that throttles its performance just beneath the red line of U.S. export limits. This creates a precarious balance, satisfying U.S. law while remaining functional enough to secure NVIDIA's $50 billion revenue goal. NVIDIA's engineered workaround demonstrates how silicon designers have become active participants in national security policy. In this landscape, technical specifications are treated with the same scrutiny as military intelligence, and the global trade in technology is now governed by the rules of geopolitical competition.